Welcome to the official Hacks podcast from Max and Pineapple Street Studios. I'm Jen Statsky, creator, showrunner, executive producer, and writer of Hacks. And joining me are the two other incredible creators of Hacks, Lucia Aniello and Paul W. Downs.
How are you?
Hello.
Guys, today, on the very last episode of Season 3, we have the one and only Hannah Einbinder joining us.
Hi, Annie. What is up, my colleagues?
Fabulous to see you.
Very good.
All right.
We love seeing you always.
God, you know, I said colleagues. I meant family.
Yeah.
That's right.
You know,
Yeah.
that's
We're
us.
both. Today, we're going to be digging into the Season 3 finale, Bulletproof. It was written by the three of us, Lucia, Paul, and me, and it was directed by Lucia. And, of course, as you know by now, 9 episodes in, you know the damn deal, guys. We're going to be talking spoilers. So don't you dare listen to this
please
if you
don't,
haven't watched the finale. Okay, so in this episode, Deborah, fresh off getting her dream job of hosting late night, is getting things ready to move out to LA and do said job.
You have the full weight of the network behind you. We wanted you to meet everyone.
Great. The last time I had this meeting, it was just me and a couple of guys day drinking at Musso and Frank's.
And Ava, so nicely, says, I'm going to stick with you and I'll be your head writer, of course.
Yeah. Every time I started working on my own idea, I just got stuck. But then I started writing stuff for your late night show, and I just couldn't stop.
And Ava goes and she quits her job, and things kind of spiral out from there.
When push comes to shove, they don't want me taking any risks. Trust me.
I don't trust you. You're a fucking liar.
I gotta say, this is one of my favorite episodes of the series.
Yes.
I would agree. I think it's all been leading up to this.
Yes.
I think you know what it could have been called Enough is Enough. Okay?
Wow.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Because it's like we are seeing the sparring that we're used to between Ava and Deborah, but now it's real. Now it's the gloves are off. The girls are going at it. And, you know, I've been saying this the whole time about like what I love about their bond, which is that when you have a connection with someone through the beautiful link of humor and being comedians and comedy, kind of like what we all have. There is nothing stronger than that language that we share. Because when you are, like, it's not like, haha, we laugh together. Like, when you're being funny on the level these two women are, and when that's your literal profession and that's your livelihood, that is just, that is the cocaine, heroin, Molly, MDMA isolate of this beautiful thing that everyone has in their own way.
Dang. That's so it.
Very
It's
well
fucked.
said.
That's right.
Shit. She's paying attention.
Yeah, I'm reading the scripts.
So let's talk. I mean, it's hard to not go right to the last, let's say, 10 minutes of this episode. There's a lot of buildup. And, you know, the last couple scenes, the big fight in the living room is a really intense part of the episode.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I do have a question. Like,
Please.
just in terms of, you know, the way that you guys write, like literally how you are putting words on the page, like how does that come together? Are 2 of you or 3 of you pretending
One of
to
us.
be one of me? Are like, how exactly is that? You know, is someone doing a pass and then you're passing it around? Or are you having the conversation live? Tell me exactly how you wrote that.
Well, the beginning of this episode, we really thought about where we wanted the season to go in the first couple of weeks of the writer's room.
Yes.
We knew that we were going to get Deborah to this place where she had this job. I think in maybe the first week of the writer's room, determined that we were going to have the card flip where Ava takes the job. And we always knew that they were sort of cut from the same cloth, that they were very much like each other. We had Deborah say that. So we knew that Deborah was creating a monster in Ava. But I think it was in the first week that we decided what would happen in the end.
Yeah. But we then didn't know the mechanism by which Ava would threaten to take it. Like that came a little bit later as we were breaking the story of that. Oh, she would sleep with the chairman of the company in 6, and then Ava would comfort her at the end of that episode and then use that as the blackmail to take what she wanted from her.
And one other thread that we actually ended up taking out, but just so you know,
Okay, I'd
was
love to know.
in a original script, which is that then you also said, it would be such a shame if my friend Mina Elahi at the New Yorker would find out about it.
Yeah, so we set
I still
up.
remember the dialogue, of course.
Yeah, well,
That's locked in.
that's good.
But the reason we ended up taking out the Mina Elahi line in the end is we just felt like there were so many things coming together that we felt that like the general threat that I will do this was enough. We didn't need to necessarily say this is how I will take you down. But that last 10 minutes is just so insane. You are so good in it.
Oh my God, this is such bullshit. I'm the better person for the job. If you hire him, you'll just be making the same version of the same show that's existed for 50 years, and it won't be special or unique. It'll just be the same shit in a dress.
No, it won't.
Yes, it will.
Yeah, it's really crazy.
You are so good.
That is literally nice.
It is. She leaves no crumbs. In fact, she scrubs the place down. Okay. She vacuums. She
Polishes.
She vacuums. She polishes. She dusts.
Hey, your words, not mine.
I want to clue our listeners into something that was really, I thought, good. And you took charge because we were doing a rehearsal for the crew to just like set up the shots, and you said, "I can't do the whole scene. I can't rehearse the whole scene."
Well, we were rehearsing the whole scene and I started to cry and I was like, sorry, got it. We got to go. We just got to go.
Yeah, and that was right. You also just feel this character. I think you just relate to this character and the journey, and you are so dropped into it that, you were on the edge of being emotional even in that rehearsal.
I do connect to the character. And I also, I see this work and these scripts as an extension of you guys. Like, I feel you guys in there. And when I think about, like, my relationship with you guys and how much I love you and, how insanely painful it would be if this was us, like, it just makes me die 1,000 deaths. And so it's like when I'm going there emotionally, it is a fusion of like feeling my connection to y'all and also like to Jean and imagining if this ever happened with us. And like, we're both so like dropped into these characters and we've been through such a crazy journey with these characters and
with each other as castmates too.
Of course, like it's really visceral doing this work on this show.
I have a question and I want to lean more into your feelings. What was your feeling? How did you feel the first time you read this episode? Do you remember where you were, how you read it, what you felt reading it? Because you didn't know about the turn, right?
I did not.
You read these, maybe you can describe for our listeners your process about coming into the season, how you move through the scripts.
I mean, my mouth was agape. My jaw was not on the floor, but in the middle of the earth. The Earth's core was where my jaw was. I had to go on a quest to retrieve my jaw. My jaw was displaced, dislodged from my from the very vessel that contains my inner brain, as well as my outer brain. So my outer brain being, of course, my eyes.
Yes, of course.
Not a lot of people know that. That's true. That's your outer brain.
Quick question.
Yep.
Are you proud of Ava or sad for Ava or both?
It's definitely both. Like, I don't know that what Ava's doing is a virtuous thing to be proud of, but I'm certainly proud of her for not just rolling over and allowing herself to be abused and mistreated and disrespected and lied to and cheated.
Wow. Okay. So you're coming down hard on one side. I was going to say, do you feel that there is any merit
To Deborah's fear?
To Deborah's fear.
Well, it's fear.
It is fear.
Which I can validate as I can validate and understand why she would feel that way. But when she takes it to action and she lies to Ava and demotes her and literally just like fucks up her bag on a level of like, you didn't need to offer this. Like you could have, she had a job lined up. Like that's fucked up and that's not a loving act. And it's like, I understand Deborah's fear, but I just go like, what are you doing? Like I am so with Ava on this, where I'm just like, you how do you not understand this? Like this is, of course the answer is the fear, is how she doesn't understand. But it's like, what were you doing when Ava bursts in I believe episode 2, when she's getting the chance to host late night and the writer's room is ass, and Ava comes in and single-handedly creates bits for the test show that then gets her the job. It's like, excuse me.
Oh, I'm loving this fire.
Excellent point.
Good. I
Like,
like that.
literally,
This is good.
stop, queen.
Yeah.
And even if I wasn't the best person for the job, and I am, you should give it to me because of our relationship.
It's not about our relationship. It's about making the show work.
Don't you get it? It'll work better because of our relationship. What we make together is good because of it. And you know that, or else you wouldn't have asked me to come back here in the first place. You said you needed me.
I do, but not to be my head writer.
I'm with you. I'm like, I think that she's really run out of excuses for why she thinks she can treat Ava this way. You know, she's treated her very poorly. I mean, I know not everybody feels that way, but I think that, you know, like she has. And I think that this is a step too far. And I hope that the audience is with Ava on this one, because I am.
Yeah, I mean, look, there is a difference between empathizing with Deborah and excusing her behavior. Like, Deborah has been through so much, and she's so justified in her fears and certain behaviors. She didn't have the same access to, therapy. Like, Deborah didn't get to go work her shit out. She just had to, like, hustle and move through life. And
Or she did go to therapy, but then he dated her.
that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's
He
right.
coerced her
Right.
into dating.
But it's
Yeah.
a very good
Not
point.
cool.
You don't want to excuse the behavior, but of course, knowing everything we know about Deborah and what she's been through, you can empathize with how much she needs this to work and how she feels this is all she has.
I cannot give them any excuse. This show has to be bulletproof. It has to work.
This is a change of course, right? Because she does offer Ava the job. But then a couple of things happen in the episode that do help her backslide.
Yeah. So maybe let's talk about some of those.
Biff.
Biff is a big one.
Oh, yeah. Biff is a big one.
Deborah, there are a million factors in getting a show on the air or keeping it on the air. With a woman, make it 1,000,001. You're talented. Everybody knows that. You work hard. Everybody knows that. All you got to do is pray that something doesn't happen that gives them an excuse to say no.
In that Biff Cliff scene, he talks about the nature of this career and entertainment and how you have to be really talented and you have to work really hard, and then you also have to be really lucky. And, we talked about this monologue a lot as we wrote it, and we wanted to just kind of speak to this idea of how luck is so important. It's something we talk about a lot in our own careers. Like, we've been really lucky. But then this phenomenon that I find to be very true, which is like, even when you know that you need luck, I feel very connected to what Deborah says when she's like, no, if I had just been funnier, if I had just been better, it could have happened. Like, there's something about you want it so bad that you're like, no, I can still control it. I just need to be better. And maybe that's like, it's too scary to put your fate in the hands of something that
Lady
you
Luck.
have no control in. Lady Luck, yeah.
She sees Biff Cliff, who greenlit, who's making dinner, but also killed her late night show. And he reveals to her that it actually tested incredibly well. They just couldn't handle bad press. But maybe more importantly, she loses Kathy in this episode. She loses something else. And she's like, this thing that I've been on the course to get has really isolated me completely. This thing has to work.
You, of all people, should know how important this show is to me.
I do. And weirdly, I'm happy for you. I am. But it's not going to make dealing with you any easier, is it? I don't think I want this in my life. I can't do it.
So yeah, in the mausoleum, Kathy learns that Deborah has moved her parents' bodies to Las Vegas, which is kind of the last straw for her.
Yeah.
And I think that, first of all, I think J. Smith Cameron, we're so lucky to have her in the show, and we are such fans.
You want to talk about a doll? Then let's talk about her.
She is such a great actress and such a sweet person, and she's so good in that scene. She really gets
good.
me.
She's giving little sister.
And she's so hurt, that she knows now she can't.
Yeah.
She can't do this.
When she says, I don't think I want this in my life, it's
And it's like
heartbreaking.
she
I can't do
doesn't
it.
have. It's after her saying like, "You're and DJ are the only family I have," and she's like, "Nah, I'm still good."
Yeah,
and even
yeah.
now I don't want you.
Yeah,
Like,
she can't do it.
I can't.
Because it's just more
Yeah.
painful than not. And she knows, because she's been there, that her getting this very high stakes job of a host of late night is
make her
not going to make her
worse.
easier. No, it's going to bring out the worst in her.
She's reading the tea leaves she's seen this weekend where Deborah already had canceled one day and talked only about herself and et cetera, and she's like, it's just going to be this all over again.
The selfishness, the way that she is just fucking in the fur coat, just being so like me. Like it's so fucking typical. It's such a comedian, like it's so correct. And it's important, I think, to see that juxtaposed with someone like Kathy, who is not like that. She's not a performer at all.
Deborah, her whole life, she's a stand-up. She stands up there alone, everyone looking at her. It's all about her. And so in some ways, when it is as very, you're saying it's on the nose. This is what comics are like. And it's like, it's hard because they're rewarded for that. They're rewarded for everyone listening to only them and only looking at them. And it's all about you. And it must take a lot of personal work to not turn into a selfish monster.
Oh, completely. It takes a rock solid foundation, which Deborah does not have because she has cut off or pushed away anyone who ever was that for her.
Yeah. And, Kathy is someone who has been through therapy and says you can't go to the hardware store for milk, which Deborah's like, what? Which I think is very telling about who was therapized and worked on themselves and who didn't.
But I think to your point, right, it's like that also losing Kathy and not having that. I think for so long she lived in this space where she can't trust that those relationships will stick around. What's so sad is when Ava's like, don't you get it? Like, it's good because what we have is good because what we do is so good together. But like, Deborah can't trust that for her a relationship will last. Like, she doesn't think she gets to have that in life, which is really sad.
The very nature of her close relationships is that they do tragically end, and she is abandoned or does abandon. Right. Like, that's the precedent.
The only relationships that last are transactional.
Where people are on her payroll to tell her that her Bill Blass couture gown looks good when it's ass.
Only Ava will speak truth to power. And by power, I mean Bill Blass couture.
That's right.
Let's also talk a little bit about Marcus and Damien in this episode.
Yeah.
The real safe is in the floor of the pool.
Wait. You're leaving.
No!
Damien!
No, you can't leave. I don't want to be the new Marcus. I can't do it. I don't want it.
Calm down.
I don't want to know when one fiscal quarter ends and another begins. I don't want Deborah to confide in me, please.
You're going to be just fine, I promise.
We have built up Marcus's story so that he knows that as soon as Deborah gets the late night job that she can no longer do QVC. And he has called Roy, we know that, from QVC, who's previously offered him a job. And we have him tell Damien that he is leaving Deborah. And Damien absolutely loses his mind.
I don't want to learn Excel. What does he say?
I don't want to talk to vendors. Mark is so funny in that scene.
So funny.
And Carl is too. It's such a fun scene.
So fun. And, we originally scripted it and shot it so that there was a little bit more of a resolution to that story, but we actually felt in the end that leaving Marcus's story as a little bit of a cliffhanger where you know that he's going to be quitting or leaving Deborah in some way, but not actually resolving it in this episode would give us something exciting to look forward to in the beginning of next season.
It's also fun just when you get to do scenes with characters that don't usually have scenes together. Like, I don't know we've ever done a Marcus Damien solo scene, right?
Really? Wow.
Oh my God.
I think this is
maybe only just asides in the context of a larger
but like
scene.
that you never have gone to just them in a
Right,
scene.
like they're in the ensemble or they're together on the tour bus with Deborah and Ava, but they're never just hanging out.
Oh my God.
And I don't think they hang out outside of work either.
I don't think so either. I don't think Damien
No.
hangs out with anybody outside of work.
That was something. He's a really mysterious guy.
He's an interesting character. We've talked a lot about what he does in his free time, but we also, just to say it, maybe we've said this to you before, Hannah, that we were like, we don't want this character to be someone who would actually, because he's closest in age to Ava, that they would actually like get along and hang. We wanted him to be idiosyncratic and a little bit weird and not somebody that would be like, let's laugh. And he does say in season 2, I don't really like comedy.
He is so funny. He is so funny.
Because in life you are friends with Mark, is that right? Can I put you on the
that's
stand?
my literal sister.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hand to God. Okay.
Yeah, that is my literal sister. But it's so fun when we get to be mean.
Yeah.
You
you
guys
guys
have
don't
like
really see
platonic
eye.
sleepovers, right?
Yeah.
That's so
That's
cute.
a good name for a special for you.
Hannah and
Hand
Mark,
to
not
God.
Ava.
Hand to God.
Not
Hand
hand
to
to
God.
Hand to
Oh, I
God.
thought you were going to say platonic sleepover.
Oh, that's cool.
Hand in
That's
hand.
good too. Platonic sleepover. That's a good name. That's like a good name for a stand-up show.
Platonic sleepover.
Platonic sleepover.
Okay,
yeah,
fine.
Okay, wow. We're doing such
Hand
good
to
work for
God.
Hannah right now.
Wow.
Hand to God.
Okay.
I was texting you because I actually did something really good. I got us a meeting with Ava Daniels.
Wait, who is that again?
You know, she was like a Disney kid, but now she's pivoting into being an adult.
So Jimmy and Kayla have the chance to sign a new client because Kayla, again, very resourceful, emails or DMs one of her classmates from Oakwood, who's now become kind of an it girl.
So iconic for you guys for it to be Oakwood. Let me tell you one thing. I grew up in Los Angeles. That's the correct school for that girl to go
Okay,
to.
great.
Okay.
There was this sleepover where Kayla was caught watching Zach and Cody with a pepperoni stick and her sleeping bag. I'll let you fill in the rest.
I was eating it.
Also, whenever Kayla would go to the bathroom at a sleepover, we would all run out of the house and hide. And at my 12th birthday, she literally just watched American Beauty with my mom.
Lisa has a great laugh. You're such a dork.
And then Jimmy quickly realizes that this is not a friend. This is actually a bully. It's a high school bully. This girl's not been kind to Kayla. And says, we're not doing this, and walks out. But it doesn't really acknowledge the work that Kayla did to set it up. And also, he doesn't give her any agency and say to her, are you going to be okay with doing this? Because clearly this girl is rude. He just takes the reins, as he has many times before. So Kayla walks out.
It's conflicting, because I appreciate where Jimmy's heart is at. And I, as a fan of Kayla, I don't want her to deal with this. I don't like.
So at the moment, were you proud of Jimmy?
Yeah, because again, like you said, like this isn't Latitude. Like we're doing our own new thing, and like we don't, we have Deborah. She just got this show. We have a big client. Like we don't need to fucking sit around while you're abused by this random like tween heartthrob. Like what's that? That's not worth anything. And he loves Kayla. He doesn't, like I appreciate and understand where he's coming from on that. But I also can see the argument that Kayla's like, you're acting like I'm not an individual with agency, and you're overriding what I've said I'm fine with.
Yeah. It's interesting because that was a story that we talked a lot about in the writer's room, and we knew we wanted to do it. We were like, it's a very interesting idea that Kayla, kind of her origin story, a big reason she is the way she is she had this bully, and this is who she was in high school and stuff. And we always knew we wanted to do the story, and we didn't quite know where it would land. And remember how really it was like a later ad, this thing of her then getting mad at Jimmy for doing it. It used to just be kind of like a sweet story where Jimmy defended her and just like stuck up for her, and we got to learn this about the bully. But then I think it's a much more, like you're saying, you see both sides of it. It's a much more like interesting depiction of, I don't know, like human behavior that like it is both things. Jimmy is such a good guy, such a good person that he would look out for her and just say, no, we're not doing this. You are like, oh, yes, that's so sweet. But then at the same time, Kayla is seen as a joke, and she's like, you're just doing it to me now. Like, you're just not listening to me. And so it's one of those things. It was one of those stories. There's always a couple of stories like that where we're like, we know we want to do it. Where will it land? And the place that ended up landing, I think, really helped.
And also, we should give props to Catherine Newton, who was so great. She did such a great job. We loved having her on the show. She's really
a fucking
funny.
queen, I'll say that.
Oh, yeah. She was great.
She's also a professional golfer.
I know. Multi-talented.
She's
I know.
awesome vibes.
Yeah, she is so great.
She's so good in that scene, and props to you and Meg, because like that, heartfelt emotional convo in the hallway is really, really good. And like,
Thank
you guys can be so funny and improv so well, but then, you really, this is a dramatic scene, and Meg is so heartbreaking.
I know.
I'm crying.
I'm feeling for her. I know. And then, I'm going to clue our listeners into something. Initially in the script, we initially had the plane scene between Jimmy and Kayla occur after the big fight between Deborah and Ava, when Ava confronts her and says, you lied to me. And it didn't really feel right, because once that scene happens, I found myself as a viewer shaking and quaking in a way that I couldn't really have a belly laugh or release the way that you want that scene to give you.
Yeah. It's the plane scene is such a hard comedy scene that it just was too difficult to shake what you've just seen. It's really wild. That's never happened. Like, this is a show where we're constantly trying to merge to like have it be both really dramatic and really funny. And we're usually, we never have to rearrange scenes
No.
like we're usually able to do it, but you finally did it. You acted too good.
Honestly, we're
You
always
broke us.
calibrating like in takes. You know, we don't want anything to be too broad or too dramatic. We want it to be very much a Hacks tone. But yeah, we've never changed the running of an episode, changed the scene order.
Yeah.
Based on Jean and Hannah's performance. And
But it
we were
was
like, well, we
interesting.
got to.
Then, as soon, you know, obviously you do other changes too. But as soon
Mhm.
as we put that plane scene earlier, it was so much funnier, and you could
You could enjoy it.
Yeah.
Don't leave. Stay here with me.
Oh my God, this is so romantic.
Oh, no. This is just a work thing. You don't need to film.
Keep filming.
And then, you know, it was supposed to end with them not being able to get off.
I was waiting for that.
Yeah. So,
What-
dear listener, we used to have the doors shut, and they were pushing off and going to Mykonos. And Jimmy's like, I can't go to Mykonos. I don't have a bag. I'm not ready. And she's like, you can borrow my bikini bottoms. They're boycott or whatever.
But because we had to move that scene earlier in the sequence because it was too depressing prior and you couldn't laugh at it.
Jimmy had to be
Jimmy had to be
home
there
for
to
that
have the
other scene.
conversation. Yeah.
So we are not starting season 4 with Jimmy and Kayla in Greece.
Which
though
was
it would
what
have
we
been
were
fun.
planning on doing.
That is
Yeah.
so fun. I have to say the button of the proposal is so iconic and incredible and perfect.
Yeah, but it is fun to be like, I said yes, and the
Yeah.
entire plane clapping.
Completely.
No, thank you. No, this was just a work thing.
Kiss!
What is your deal?
I would like to talk about the final scene in the conference room.
I'm really, really happy to see you.
I realized I belong here, no matter what.
Good.
I also realized that it would be really, really bad if people found out that you slept with the chairman of this company right before he gave you your own show. Yeah, the optics of that are pretty rough, especially since the show needs to be bulletproof, like you said. So, I think I am your head writer after all.
How do you think Ava's feeling before Deborah walks in the room?
I think in that moment, she is ultimately nervous on some level, but I do think she's ready. Like, it does feel to me like the anticipation of going on stage. Like, where you are nervous and then the second curtain comes up, it's showtime. Like, I do feel like that moment before for me was a place of like, okay, like she's coming in, like I don't know what she's, if I'm really going to back her into a corner, like what if she has like, does she have like kind of like a trick up her sleeve in the sense like I'm going to put this on the table and she's going to like actually have something to, some sort of a rebuttal, I guess. But then when it becomes clear that it's working, I think Ava really is just like, nope, this is it. Like I think any of those nerves kind of just dissolve when she sees the fear on Deborah's face as well, when she delivers the news. Like,
Ooh,
When
yeah.
she sees the fear, this is when she knows she's won.
yeah.
I mean,
And
I
she
think
like really tops her.
Yeah,
She's like, I'm stepping up.
it's so. I love the moment when you say, "I would, wouldn't you?" and you cock your head.
Oh,
it's
it's
so
so
scary.
good.
Oh my
but
God.
then I also love Jean plays it so well in her reaction because she is both scared and angry and knows that you're right. She would do it, and she's like, "Oof, damn."
And she told her
That's
to do
right.
it.
You instructed me to
Told
do
her
this.
to be selfish.
Dang.
Yeah. Ava's
it's
scary,
such a
girl.
fun. It's such a fun scene, and it does make. I hope it makes the audience feel this way because it certainly makes me be like, "Ooh, I want to see what happens next." I really can't wait to see. it.
Totally.
Yeah.
You know, they always have been sparring. We've seen them sparring on various levels of hostility and not hostility. Like
Right.
the interview scene in the pilot,
Mhm.
they're fighting
Yeah.
and they're being funny and they're fighting. But this is a new thing. This is a
Yeah.
totally new thing, I think.
Definitely. But
Yeah.
I do think there is a degree of like so much anger and so much, how dare you? But she's also a little bit turned on by the idea of the challenge. And she's like, well, look at what I made. You know, I
Yeah.
mean, as much as like, shit, I created this monster, it's also like,
Well.
Let
You
the
think you-
games
yeah.
begin.
Yeah. She's like, you think you can top me?
Yeah.
oh, she's
Oh,
waiting for the
honey.
next move because,
honey.
you know,
I'm no bottom.
there's nothing. And there's
Unless I
nothing like
feel
a
like
comeback.
Yeah. And she didn't think Ava had it in her until that
Yeah.
moment. And she's excited. She's like, okay.
But I will say, I think even though Ava is trying to impart this to her, like I have to imagine on some level, Deborah does know that she's the only person who can fucking lead this show. Like who they're gonna bring back Steve,
Right.
this fucking guy in the hockey jersey.
No, I mean,
What are you
that's
talking
right.
about? Like, you know,
she does need Ava there, and she does say, "I do need you, just not as my writer." She wants you there. So this is also it's so many emotions for her.
I know,
because she does need Ava. It will be better,
Yeah.
but will it be better if they're at odds? If they're in this position, because they are now in an antagonistic position.
Oh my God, I'm literally shaking. I'm scared.
Well, we could spend all day and all night with you, as we just attested to, but we do have to end this pod. But thank you so much, Hannah, for joining us. We love you.
I love
You're
you,
so
Hannah.
fantastic in this season and this episode.
I love you guys.
And listeners, thank you for listening. This is our last episode.
What a season we've had together.
Oh my gosh.
I can't believe it.
Thanks for being on the ride. Thank you all.
We are the ride.
You are all a part of the Hacks family.
Yes.
None, no matter how famous Barbara Streisand, are any lesser than or greater than. She's a big listener of the pod.
Oh, Babs. Oh,
Babs,
yeah. Do they get the pod in the basement? Does the reception get down there?
She apparently loves to listen to the pod because she does a lot of crafting, and she listens to the pod when she crafts. So
helps her concentrate.
This has been the official Hacks podcast with Lucia Aniello, Jen Statsky, and me, Paul W. Downs. This podcast is a production of Max and Pineapple Street Studios. Our executive producers are Gabrielle Lewis, Barry Finkel, and J.N. Barry. Our producers are Melissa Slaughter and Ben Goldberg. Darby Maloney is our editor. This episode was mixed by Hannes Brown. Pineapple's head of sound and engineering is Raj Makija. And Pineapple's senior audio engineers are Marina Pais and Pedro Alvira. This episode was engineered by Javier Cruces. You can watch new and old episodes of Hacks on Max right now. Bye.
Toot toot. Final toot toot.
Shall we begin?
Let's.